Hey friends, and welcome back to another Pride training session, which is the foster care training for prospective, why can't I talk tonight? For prospective resource parents. Pride training is the pre-service training for prospective resource parents. There we go, got it at that time. And we're going to talk this week about week 5, and this week was all about strengthening family relationships. Sorry if you hear pages rustle, I'm just looking down to make sure I don't miss anything. And this week was actually a huge week for me, because I think before we became foster parents, we kind of thought, okay, the kids get removed and we know there's visits, but you know, we didn't really know what they entailed or when child would get visits and what happens at the visits and all of that. So it was a really informative week because we found all of that out. So with the connection between family relationships and the child or youth self-esteem, personal identity, and cultural identity. So this was kind of the base, like, why is it so important that we try our best to reunify these kids? You know, they've been taken from their parents for a reason, abuse, neglect, whatever it may be, mental health, addictions, all of these types of reasons. So why do we even want to support reunification? So it was really good just to kind of explain why and how it's so important and where these kids are going to end up if that's not, you know, we haven't given that its best shot. In some cases, kids are not able to be reunified and then they are able to become adopted, which we hope to be a family one day that can be for family for one of these kids, but we absolutely support reunification. We want to see families together. We want to keep them together. We want to give the families the help that they need, not only the kids, but the families as a whole. We did eco map, so it was just helping us to identify the kids' relationships not only with their immediate biological family but their extended family, and then, you know, friends, teachers, doctors, dentists, the guy at the corner store that they go every week, like all of these things, how important it was. So we drew maps for ourselves, and if we were taken away from, you know, our family, how many connections would be broken. So it was really good to kind of just visualize. It's not just their family they're being taken from, it's everything that they know, everything that's familiar to them, people that are familiar to them. So we described then we talked about the importance of visits and why they're so important and how to prepare the kids for the visit, what type of behaviors we might expect after a visit or before a visit, the types of things that happen at visits. So we have seen quite a few things. So with our agency, there are supervised visits. So there are, I believe they're called personal support workers, children's personal support workers, I'm not exactly sure, but their job is mainly just to supervise access visits and, you know, make sure that the kids are safe, to supervise how the parents are. You know, the plan is always to go home, but of course it has to start with some supervision to know what's going to happen and, you know, if it's going to be okay for these kids to go home. The next type of visit we have something called the visiting center. So it's a couple workers that kind of oversee, it's like a big daycare, like they've got a bunch of toys, tables set up, a kitchen, and the parents kind of have free reign to do what they want with their kids, but they have to stay in this, you know, large facility, and there's workers kind of milling about, but it's not like direct supervision where when they're having direct supervision, it's in a small room and the worker will either be in the room or they'll be looking through like a two-way glass at them, but they know they're being watched closely the whole time. So those are two kind of main visits. Then there's something called community visits. So if they see that, you know, things are going well and they don't see any, you know, huge risk, they'll allow community visits. So the foster parent or the driver will drop them off at the agency and the bio parents will be able to take them out into the community, whether it's out to, you know, McDonald's or to a play place or to the park, you know, if it's nice and warm. Right now that's not happening. But they are allowed to do these little community visits. The next type of visits are visits in their home. So they can be fully supervised, partially supervised, drop-in supervised, where, you know, okay, you've got 4 hours, but we're going to drop in at any time with no, you know, with no announcement. So you better be doing the right thing kind of thing. And then there are unsupervised in-home visits. So this is usually when the kids are closer to going home and, you know, they don't feel that they need to be supervised. It's just kind of getting the kids familiar with their home again and transitioning them out of the foster home and back into the biological family's home. And then there's also overnight visits, and they will do that again in the transition phase. That's kind of the last type of visit. So that's kind of how the visits will evolve. And the visits generally can be, they start off at an hour, then they go to an hour and a half, and they go to 2 hours, and then they go up where they can be all day or overnight or a couple of days. So that's kind of how the visits evolve. And I really didn't know any of that. So I learned a lot about that week. We talked a lot about the life book and how the life book is I can't remember if I've already talked about this in a video, because I know I filmed a couple and the quality was off, but I'll say it again. So a life book is something that you as a foster parent, it's kind of your responsibility to provide these for the kids. And it's just kind of their story of when they came to you and, you know, maybe why they came to you and, you know, things they did while they were with you and people that were important to them and, you know, that they still saw their family. Like just kind of, it's just like a little journal of their time with you. So it's really important to give these to kids because they may be little and not really care about them now, but one day they're going to want to know their history. It's really important to do for your foster children. It can be in a scrapbook form, digital scrapbook form, you know, just pictures in a photo album, journals, notes, whatnot. And it's nice to throw a picture of you and your own family in there so that they know, oh, that's the family that we lived with for 4 months or whatnot. So then we went through this little chart about bridging the gap. So there was bridging the gap without direct contact, and some of the examples are send pictures of the child or youth to the parent, ask for pictures of parent, send a snack or an activity for the visit, prepare the child or youth for the visit, remember child or youth's family in prayers or through family rituals, request cultural information from the family, share copies of school papers, report cards, that sort of thing, artwork, exchange letters with the child or youth via the worker or something called a communication book where you go back and forth. I've had a communication book with, I mean, it starts that way, but I usually get to the point that I can just text the parents or email the parents. I have an email set up that is just for foster parenting related stuff that I don't use, you know, any information that people can find me on social media or anything like that. So then there was bridging the gap when there is contact between resource families and the child or youth's families, which is usually where we're at. So take a child to youth, talk positively about the visit, talk with the parent at the visit about the child's day-to-day activities, life, you know, day-to-day life. They encourage the parent to phone the child or youth, which we do right now. Our oldest son talks to his mom every single night before bed. Meet the child or youth's family at a time of placement or prior to placement. Ask for the parent's advice on things like, you know, he's not sleeping. What did you do at home to get him to sleep? Or what kind of foods does he like to eat? Reassure the parent of the child's love. We do that right now. And I know she really appreciates, she's always, you know, whenever I do that, she's always like, thank you so much for reminding me how much they love me, because it's easy for them to kind of lose contact with that. And you want to make sure that you're promoting that as well, that you don't want her to ever feel like he's better off with me or he's better off with our family, or, you know, she is their mom, and ultimately the best thing is if it's safe, is for them to be with her. So just to remind her of how much they love her, like, you know, your son did this today, or your daughter did that today, or your daughter really likes this, and just kind of gives them ownership and makes them feel, you know, a little more confident. Then there's bridging the gap by working with birth parents as part of the service plan. So host visits in your home, attend visits in their home, assist in planning the child or youth's return to family, include birth parents in the farewell activities, attend training to learn about mentoring a birth parent, assist birth parents with transportation to treatment and related. So I did this a lot actually with our first placement. They didn't drive, so I would pick up Mom a lot. Our first little guy had a lot of medical appointments, so I would pick Mom up and take her to the appointments, drop her off after the appointments. You know, when we had meetings at the agency, I would drive her and her boyfriend home after, that sort of thing. They didn't drive, and just, you know, I just wanted to make things easier for them so they didn't have to walk or take the bus in the middle of the winter. I just wanted to make it a little bit easier for them, because a lot of times when it is you know, if a family is lower income or they don't drive, you know, it's very difficult financially to attend all the visits that are required of them and all the doctor's appointments and such. So I just tried to help out as much as I could with them, and they never came to our home. I think Greg and I discussed pretty early on that because we have 2 young daughters and you just never know, we wanted to keep our home. So we only ever have social workers in our home. I don't think we will ever invite family into our home. We have invited to our church, but that's, you know, that's a public place, or we've met, you know, closer to our home and at restaurants or whatnot, but we just kind of feel for the safety of our own daughters. You just never know, not necessarily that direct birth parent, but somebody related to them, if they're angry about something, or a drug addict knocking at my door at 3 in the morning demanding to see their nephew or something like that. So I just try and keep our home and our location private. And then bridging the gap, the last one was bridging the gap by serving as a mentor to the child or youth family. So again, welcome parents into their home, coordinate and discuss discipline efforts. So we had this with one of our placements. Mom was really young, and you know, how do I get her to eat, and how do I get her to do this, and what should I, you know, I felt like I was really like, kind of took her under my wing and just really mentored her. One of the things here is advocating for needed services, which I did in that case. I think so-and-so will really benefit from this program. Here's a great program where mom can go and learn this and provide feedback to the parenting skills. So, you know, you can say something like, you know, he really doesn't like being held that way. If you hold him this way, that usually helps. Or he looks gassy right now, and this is what I normally do. And just kind of being a mentor to them and kind of showing them, you know, sometimes kids come into care because their parents are kids themselves and they have no clue how to parent, and they've had no one in their life to show them how to be, you know, a great parent. So just trying to give, you know, pass your skills onto them that you know that have worked with their child. Provide respite care after the child returns home. So, you know, it's a large family or it's a young mom. She needs to work and go to school, and she doesn't have a, you know, extended family to help her out. So being able to provide care, we have offered that. Nobody's taken us up on it, or maybe they didn't believe us, I don't know, but we would, you know, love to be able to see some of our previous foster children and care for them. Our first little guy, actually, he became a big brother, and his mom asked if we could babysit him while she had the C-section with the new baby, and, you know, keep him for a few days at least. And we were so happy to do that. But unfortunately, but we ended up getting another placement of these 2 boys, and I didn't have room in my van for all of them. But if we could have helped, we definitely would have. We would have loved to have him in our home again for a few days. So, you know, just doing as much as you can for these families. So we talked a lot about kind of bridging the gap and working together to help these kids. It's not just about you protecting the kids. It's about you trying to help the whole family. And guys, if you can't help the whole family, if you are kind of person, you know, he did so-and-so to this kid, and she did so-and-so to that kid, and I would never do that to this child, and, you know, he doesn't deserve to go home to her. Like, if you kind of have those kind of opinions, honestly, foster care is not something you should get into. You should, if you want to care for these children, you should just wait until they're able to be adopted, and that part is done, because really getting involved with the whole family. And if it's not safe, you are definitely protected by your workers. You don't have to do any of that, but the more you do, the better it is for everybody. Honestly, the better it is for the kids. The kids don't ever want to see you feeling negative or talking bad about their biological family. They want to see you guys getting along, and that you know, they want to view you guys as friends. So I always try and make sure I have that relationship with the kids. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching week 5 of the Pride training. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Ask any questions down below in the comments if you have them. I'd love to answer any, connect with you guys, help you out in any way I can. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.